Howdy, folks. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. We have some games from last night to discuss, some news around the league. The Global Series will be visiting Sweden in November with 4 NHL teams. We'll talk about that, but we'll start with the pre-show. Go ahead, Russ.
So, as expected, but took much longer than expected, Aaron Rodgers is a New York Jet. Now, again, there's a lot that goes into this. I did write about it on sportsology.com. Like, I'm at the point where I'm not going to be swept off my feet by Aaron Rodgers, who I felt like hasn't performed well in a couple of seasons. I give him credit that he's going to go try and conquer the New York market because Christopher Mad Dog Russo on ESPN made a very good point when someone brought up, well, Tom Brady did this. And he's like, yeah, Tom Brady took over a team that needed a quarterback in a bad division, knew he could win the division, and it would have kind of an easy path
And
to a title game.
And in a small market like
In a
Tampa.
small market.
Yeah,
this is completely opposite. So
the lead up to Rodgers, even before the trade, was all this stuff about the dark room and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting sick and tired of hearing about this crap already, and he hasn't even played one practice in green. So
right, but basically the AFC East is a lot harder. So just getting Aaron Rodgers isn't going to make the Jets a Super Bowl contender. It is not.
What did you think of what they gave up?
Too much. It's too much because I was talking to Orlando, who I do Jets rehab with, and he said, and I agree with him, the swap from 13 to 15 is the equivalent of like a 4th-round pick. Right. And I think that is true because it could be the difference of missing out on the lineman that the Jets want, that I want them to take, and instead we'll have to take like a center or like the 3rd best defensive tackle. So there is a difference there, especially, in that top 15. Then people are trying to act like, oh, look, the Elijah Moore second, that got Aaron Rodgers there. No, that second's going to turn into a first because Aaron Rodgers only has to do 65% of the snaps, and it turns into a first. So they gave up a first, a second, and they did this swap, and the Jets got, I think, another pick back. It's too much because from all that you could tell with the restructuring and everything, and Rodgers is getting paid, I don't know, $43 million to the cap, but $58 million in real money. This is a 1-year deal, folks. And so knowing that it's a 1-year deal, a lot of things would have to break right, even for the Jets to get to the championship game to play against Kansas City, and that's the longest of long shots.
Well, Joe Douglas was on ESPN radio yesterday, and my God, the tap dancing that he did when he was asked about whether this is more than a 1-year deal, because that's a factor here. If it's a 2-year deal, then you can sell. Okay, I got a Hall of Fame quarterback who. He's at the tail end of his career, but he's still a massive upgrade.
Yeah.
But the tap dancing he did because there's no guarantee he's going to stay for a second year, and he was tap dancing around Zach Wilson, whether Zach Wilson will get traded or Zach Wilson stays around. He says, "Well, there's a lot of belief in the room about Zach Wilson." Yeah, there's a lot of belief in the fact that you played an over-the-hill Joe Flacco instead of a guy you drafted 2nd overall. Don't piss on me and tell me it's raining.
Right. So
ridiculous.
I do cover a lot of that in the article, but basically, I just have to tell Jets fans, just getting Aaron Rodgers, even with the moves they made before Aaron Rodgers, the job's not done. There's a lot of good teams out there. The Bills are really good. The Dolphins are really good. Again, Kansas City is the best team in football. I mean, there's a lot of blockades in the AFC.
I think, okay, do I think they're better than Miami? Yes, because
maybe
because Tua's questionable health and what they spent in draft capital to make other moves, including trading a 1st-round pick. I think it was for Chubb.
Yeah.
They have no draft capital this year, and I think the Jets have moved ahead of him. In terms of Buffalo, no.
Right. I'm not going to say the Jets are better than Buffalo. Better than New England, sure. So, all right. So you put them on that footing. The Chargers.
They're a playoff team.
Maybe. I mean, most likely. But the Chargers are a really good team. I mean, Herbert, if he just has a little support, has a lot going for him. So, my basic point is this. Just adding Rodgers doesn't give the Jets a trophy. And there's more work to do. And there's things that are being ignored on the Jets right now because they got Rodgers. So people should go read the article, but I'm not like skipping around. I'm not skipping. What is it? skipping by maypoles. Is that what that was back in the day? Yes,
You're
that
going
was
around
like
the maple.
in the 50s. Yes, but
The
I'm
1850s.
I'm not going to watch the press conference because I don't care about the press conference.
Maybe.
But I will say this because who knows if I'll remember to say this on Friday, and I'll tell Eck this today. So Eck,
Yeah.
friends of mine went to the John Anderson show 3 days ago and posted him doing Close to the Edge on
Really?
Facebook, and it still sounds really good.
Oh man.
Sounds really good. I mean, he doesn't have the super projection in his voice anymore, but
Sure.
at 74, he still hits the notes and he does it just right. And he does the solo part still. It's pretty amazing.
Really? Wow.
But he has singers too to help him.
When are you going?
Yeah, I'm going to Collingswood on Friday.
That's this Friday. Yeah.
Can't wait. That'll be like, again, if you look at the set list, it's incredible. Like it's every song you'd want him to play. And this band, I've been told, is really good. And I know you like the kids, but this is a whole different aspect. This is like a band of I don't want to say non-professionals because they're professional, but they're just not known, right?
Right.
Not known like the Tony Levins and everything, but they play a lot of Yes music and they're really good at it. Really good at it.
Well, there are some incredible young musicians.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you see these. I saw a Pink Floyd band that was made up of like mostly like Drexel students.
Yeah.
And I was just freaking. They were doing such obscure Pink Floyd, and then their talent was stunning to me. The fact that they knew these songs at all was baffling to me. Like that group of people would, that they would know that. There's some. There's no shortage of great musicians.
They're called the Band Geeks, and they did a bunch of videos on YouTube, and John liked them, and he's like, "Why don't you be like my backup band?" And
they probably are loving it.
Yeah, and this is what I like about John Anderson because I've met him. He's a really humble guy. Yeah. He just loves doing what he does. He is a bit of a diva. Don't get me wrong. Like,
of course.
When he was in my hotel, the band was waiting like an extra 20 minutes for him to get on their little bus. All that kind of stuff applies. But when it comes to like his ego, he's pretty good, man. Like, again, for him to kind of look at these guys and say, "Why don't you tour with me?" That's great. Like, that's somebody's dream come true right there.
Yeah, no, it really is. I mean, it's just a chance for somebody like that to like do the whole tour bus type thing and all that. I don't know what they're doing, and they might just be driving in their own car around,
Yeah, they'll have some sort of tour bus, I'm sure.
You never know in these situations. You really don't.
Just to prove that there are a lot of talented musicians out there, no matter how old they are. Everybody remembers the movie School of Rock, and there's a lot of things out there, little internet YouTube projects where like a bunch of like high school kids they'll do covers of stuff. I found online, I'm not a big Dream Theater fan, but they have a few really good songs. One song is called Pull Me Under, and there is this group of kids who did a cover of Pull Me Under that I think is better than the original.
Yeah, and that's the thing when I always say, and one thing to just get back to what X said about the tour bus thing. I mean, I've been on their tour bus, and it wasn't like a regular tour bus back. This is like 25 years, 30 years ago. It was more like an SUV before SUVs were out.
Yeah.
But also, even then, Steve Howe had his own driver. So he had a guy, he just drove, and like he had someone drive. He was in the passenger seat, so maybe he didn't like taking buses, trains, and planes.
There's all different kinds of things,
So you could be right on that.
I didn't like tour buses myself. I never really had the opportunity to have like one of the super duper ones. But when I went on them with other opening bands, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I like RVs though, so
But
I
as
was
far as
like,
getting somebody to play their music, it's not as hard as if you're creating the music. That's what I always say.
To me, it's just a dream. I mean, to get to do this and to get to hotels, all the different things. These guys must be having a blast.
Yeah, I mean, they're a YouTube band. I mean, I'm sure they play local dates and such, and now, they're playing a probably, 45.
I wonder if he's letting them sell anything there, or anything like that at the shows.
Yeah, I don't have a sense for that yet, but to me, it looks like it's like 25 dates in the States and like 25, 30 overseas, and that's cool.
You need to let me know. Yeah, I've
let you know.
I am still debating.
I will be there Friday.
I am going to try to get my loving wife to go with me. She comes back on Thursday.
Well,
from
the least she could do is go with you to see John Anderson when she forces you to go see that ass spring.
Here's the thing. She has a new friend who she really likes, who works with her now. Like, and this woman is like a big fan of like she like said, let's go to Queen, that kind of thing. Like, let's go see Queen. So maybe I can play that angle. Let me see what I can do. Maybe she'll go. Maybe I'm like, hey, like invite her. Like we'll go see John Anderson. But yes,
this woman makes you spend big money to go on Broadway to see that jerk Springsteen.
Love it.
I can always text you where my seat is. No problem.
I have the best wife on the planet.
I'm not saying you don't.
And I will go to Springsteen every freaking day of the week. Anyway, all right.
I used to go to him. I just wouldn't go anymore. I still listen to him.
Oh man! All right, here we go. Let's do this. What's today's date, guys? I don't even have my phone. It's 26th.
At least you just gave up. Like
my son has my phone right now. He's
26th.
All right, cool. I'll get it back. All right.
It's Wednesday.
World. I'm told it's April 26th, 2023. I know it's Wednesday.
I'm Michael Agello, and Billy Joel rules.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
We didn't start the fire. I'm Eklund. You're watching HockeyBuzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com. Even though we didn't start the fire, I happen to have a fireman's hat on hand at all times.
There you go. Perfect.
Role play. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about last night's games. All right, Edmonton, LA. Let's just get into it. Edmonton
won.
Of course they won. They were better. They're way better.
Skinner won.
They're the better team, Mike.
All right, before we get into, I don't want. We can't have another day of this, but I just don't want another day. I don't think anybody out there wants another day of it either. So here's the thing about the whole thing. Like, all right, they didn't need Skinner to win last night. He wasn't spectacular. He was under 900.
He's got an 84% for the entire playoff.
And in that game, he was under 900 too. So
yes, and
he gave up a goal at a bad time. Again, they were up 2-0. They look like they're cruising, and then bam, there's two. It's 2-1.
It wasn't like he put it in his own net, Ack. I mean, the Kings do have talented players.
No, but we're not saying he's a bad goalie.
I'm not saying he might not win.
Goalie. That's all.
He might win the next 10 Stanley Cups with the Oilers.
Because he's a talented goalie. I've said a lot of good things about him over the years. But
better.
They're going to get away with it. They're going to get away with it because they dominate. I mean, the zone.
They can't give up 3 goals every game in the playoffs, Mike. They can't. And that's
every game. Yeah.
Happening.
Playing the type of defense that Edmonton does, I mean,
they actually aren't that bad defensively. They're giving up shots. They're giving up under 30 shots every game.
All I can say is that I was exchanging messages watching the game with another reporter, and when Adrian Kempe walks around the Oilers defense like they're standing still, I'm like, boy, the Oilers defense hasn't improved. And they said, no, sir, they haven't.
Got my phone.
I'm sorry.
So now that you said that the way that you did, I know who you spoke to. But anyhow, that was the tell.
All right. But it doesn't matter. I mean, Edmonton can beat LA with Skinner. Skinner could be incredibly successful still. I don't know. But the reality is, like,
he's the better of the 2 goalies. That's the reality.
Is that the reality, Mike? No, it's not.
That's not a reality. That's an opinion. That's your opinion. You're allowed to have that opinion.
A very educated opinion.
No, it's not. It's based on history, and we got to stop talking about history when we talk about things.
Yeah.
It's like where we are now.
Let me ask this basic question of Mike. I'm going to test Mike's intellect on this one. So, Mike, if they were playing let's say the Dallas Stars, who apparently Tony Soprano thinks that, like, I've somehow said that they stink or something. I said I was worried about them. That's what I said. And I'm still a little worried about them. They still aren't showing me exactly what I need to see. But if they were playing the Dallas Stars and they were giving up 3 goals a game, they would lose more games in that series because of Ottinger. That's a fact.
Yes, they would. They would. They're in a spot right now.
But I think the Dallas Stars are a better team than the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, I think mostly if they play their game, they are. Yeah,
could be. I mean, they're pretty close. I mean, it's going to be a good series. I mean, it's like. Ottinger is great, and Ottinger would be the best goalie in the series, no matter what. Do we know that? I'm not saying that Campbell's better than Ottinger. I'm not saying Skinner's better than Ottinger. I'm just sitting there and saying, I'm saying that fine, Edmonton's going to win the series, but I think that next series, they get Vegas next series. They
go to the end here, Ek.
They're going to win the series, Mike.
Right along, we're Kings in 7.
The King, their power play is 58% in the series, man. It's like. It's an absurdity that this is the best team that Edmonton's had in ages. They're really good. What was his name? One of the analysts came on and said during the intermission last night, I don't know if you heard this, that this is the best power play Edmonton has ever had. That's a statement. That's a statement. That this is the best power play that Edmonton's ever had. But
look, Mike is like Jack Dawson trying to get back on the float with blue smoke coming out of his lungs because he's so cold, and he won't go down with the ship until it's completely over. But it's
you mean I'm gonna die of hypothermia because I'm trying to get on there with Kate Winslet?
Yeah, that's exactly what'll happen.
All right, let's move on. Let's just say that Edmonton was very good last night. We can all agree on that. Edmonton looked very good last night.
Edmonton looked excellent.
They got scoring from all up and down their lineup. They were really solid. They, Boucher is turning into a hell of a player. Let's just say that he is going to be.
Evan Bouchard.
Evan Bouchard, not Boucher.
Yeah,
Bouchard.
He was always going to be. It just took a little longer. He was
Yeah,
always going to be.
I was like,
I did a What's the Act.
When did Frank Boucher come back in the NHL?
I'm sorry, I did a What the Act blog today, answering questions. There are many questions still the other day, so I only got to half of them today. I'll get the other half later. But one of them was, what are they going to have? What is Edmonton going to have to do to keep Bouchard? And they're going to have to make some moves. They're going to have to figure out what they're going to pay him, and he's not going to be easy to keep. But they have to.
I think what they probably will end up doing is they'll have to let someone like Yamamoto go or something.
That's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking like Yamamoto, but
bridge deal.
But he's worth keeping because he's something they developed. This guy,
they have to keep him. Like he'll be their top power play guy.
He's so solid with them.
They'll end up buying out Cody Ceci.
They could. Ceci wasn't terrible last night though.
Or maybe they trade the almighty Jack Campbell. I mean, that's $5 million.
It's possible.
Yeah, maybe back to Toronto. All right, so let's see. All right, the other games last night. Dallas, like we talked about, Dallas they looked like they were making a statement last night against Minnesota.
I think they look better.
They did. What scares you about Dallas? I mean, Dallas's power play is also 58%.
In that game, the power play showed up.
Let's start with how they got.
Finish your thought, Mass.
Yeah. Well, no. Okay.
They're not generating a ton of shots. That's my worry.
The power play was because of the Marcus Foligno hit on Faxa, which was, I actually think the TNT did a pretty good breakdown of like how it was more of a mistake than it was like a purposeful knee-on-knee hit. But that opened the door for Dallas, Russ, and then they got 2 power play goals out of it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. 5-on-5, I'm still a little worried, and they're not generating the amount of shots I'd like to see them generate with the guys they have. Yesterday's game was definitely because of the penalty. Like that opened the floodgate. That made it easy.
All right, I'm here. I'll be right there in a second. But should they play Marc-Andre Fleury?
No.
I don't think it was on Gustafsson. I think it was the fact that they got behind the 8 ball. They fell behind 2-0. Then they sort of had to open it up. And once they did that, and Dallas got the goal from Marchment late in the and that was
even strength. He stopped 12 of 13. Gustafsson.
Yeah, that was a disputed goal too because they believed that Suter had batted the puck out of the defensive zone with a high stick. And that, I guess it wasn't reviewable. I guess if it hadn't have been blown at the point that it was batted out, then it wasn't reviewable. And that put them down 3-0 in the first period. And then it was pretty much over.
The Stars were on their game because of that penalty and a 5-minute power play. That's why they were on their game.
Definitely was a kickstart. I mean, that power play.
That kickstarted them. But again, I still need to see them produce more 5-on-5. Yeah, they could get past this round, but there's higher expectations for this team.
Yeah, I'll go to the bathroom. Can I just say, Jason?
No. He didn't. I didn't go to the bathroom. He went
and got a drink.
No, he went. He went off camera to get a Moscow Mule.
Yeah, well, no, this is just soda, but this is from the Bacon Festival in Pennsylvania that I went to last year, which was
that show that the food that built America had a thing about the Moscow Mule.
I hate that show.
No, but if you go and you watch it about the Moscow Mule, the interesting thing is it's kind of intertwined with the release of the Polaroid camera, which I found fascinating. So anyhow,
that's interesting. This there's a place. There was a food truck at this place. Have you ever seen the food truck that like does the root beers? You ever seen these at festivals? It's an amazing thing. It's a big food truck with like just a row of root beer taps on the side.
Yeah, they show up every year at the Philly Comic-Con that I go to, the same root beer company. They're
That's
there.
great. And they had bacon themed glasses, but these are amazing.
They're very good. I've had them. Excellent root beer.
Nothing like a cold root beer in like a wet metal glass like this. Awesome. All right.
No, you have to have it in a chilled mug. That's the best way.
Well, this is like this. It heats.
That's close to the chilled mug.
Yeah, with a lot of ice. This just becomes
lots of ice.
Yeah.
All right, I got this. I got one of these last year, and I'm sitting there, and I'm so happy, and I'm standing there in Margate, and a bird just like craps right in my root beer.
Well, I'm sorry. I would throw out the mug if a bird crapped.
It's not the same mug from that.
Okay. Okay. Good. I would definitely not ever.
Yeah,
ever
I would question that mug for sure.
Well, we're okay. All right, let's move on to.
By the way, here's another thing to be worried about.
Yes.
Ty Dellandrea was 28% on faceoffs. Yikes.
Well, I mean, that'll be taken care. Well, okay. I know that Pavelski sometimes mostly plays the wing when he plays with Hins, but they do use him on faceoffs occasionally.
Yeah, that'll alleviate.
And it's starting to look like he may be back for Game 6. Now, there are some people who say, "Well, why risk bringing him back for Game 6 and getting him exposed to getting bashed again?" But they want to get him in the lineup, and they don't want this series going to a Game 7. So I think it makes sense to bring him back.
Yeah, I mean it does. It does. I think so too. So let's so the other game last night was
Islanders and Carolina.
Oh my gosh. This was an exciting game, Mike. There's no way you can put it out of your head.
No, this was an exciting game.
This was not just exciting for the beginning or the end. This was exciting all the way through. The Carolina fans.
But you admit that the series in general has been the most boring of the 8.
I don't know. To me, I'm having I know it might sound weird, but the one that I'm least looking forward to watching is for some reason like Vegas and Winnipeg. I don't know why, but that's like, and they've been some good games, but it's like
because in your mind it's over. That's why.
No, because I'm not a huge Vegas fan, but I was a big Jonathan. I'm a big Jonathan Quick guy, so I was really hoping for Jonathan Quick, and it would have made Vegas more interesting for me to watch. But I like Jack Eichel too, so I should.
By the way, if Quick doesn't get named the backup tonight, I believe what I said the other day is what happened.
You have to start thinking that. Yeah.
Well, it was. I can't remember who was pointing it out, but I guess Henderson is not in the Calder Cup playoffs because Vegas has essentially a taxi squad of like 15 players, and Quick and Logan Thompson are both on that taxi squad. So I guess what they're saying is they're healthy, but right now Brassois and Aiden Hill are the chosen 1 and 2, which
they're just not saying that they're just not saying that they're injured, Mike. It's not that they're saying they're healthy.
Right.
I mean, they're really, I think, obviously.
I don't think Thompson's healthy. I think Quick is healthy.
Yeah, if Thompson was healthy, we would see him. We would see him at least as a backup, and we would, until he got some work or whatever, we would see him in there. But that Islanders game, Barzal wakes up, all right, way to go.
Yep, he had a good game. I mean, look, they were fortunate a puck went off of Sebastian Aho's face and 2 of their players to get the goal. Like, it's still, I mean, who was it? They batted it out of the air.
It was Brock Nelson.
Yeah, it was Nelson batted it out of the air. Hell of a play. It felt horrible for Aho, but he came back like 5 minutes later, and he was spewing blood everywhere.
Well, Hyman, same thing, right? Hyman takes a goal up his face last night too.
Yeah, but not like that. He did too, but not like that. It really was bad. But I give Carolina credit; they came back. This was the best the Islanders have looked the entire series.
It was the first time they looked relaxed to me.
Yes.
I think that they've looked uptight about all their passes. They're like holding their stick too tight. They're trying to be too perfect. They just sort of played last night, and sometimes that happens when you're down in a situation like 3-1.
I think that's true, and I think they played better defensively. Again, they blocked 22 shots to Carolina's 4, so it shows you the difference in philosophies there. Because Carolina's defense is so good, they don't feel like they have to block those shots.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because the Islanders have one of the top 5 goalies, but they still feel like they need to block the shots. Sorokin was really good though when Carolina had the power play. I think that was the difference in that game.
Right. Yeah, Sorokin really was good. He got a benefit from that disallowed goal too, but that was obviously offsides. But that was
it
was obviously offside, but it was a big point in that game. Like if that goal happens right there and then, it was one of those momentum moments that if that goal happens, Carolina could have ridden that wave. I really think that.
Here's something that I think Mike will be happy about.
I
But
doubt it.
Maybe in this game, like Pierre Engvall was actually a force. Like he was the Islanders' best player, other than Barzal in this
Who
game.
was?
Well, I mean, this is the thing.
Who was Russ? I'm sorry. Who'd you say?
Pierre Engvall.
And Russ, you know this well because I covered Pierre Engvall with the Marlies, and then in his ascendancy to the Leafs. He's a very talented player. He's big. He's fast. He's strong. He just doesn't like contact that much, and it's sort of like he's one of these guys. If he plays 82 games, 20 of those games he plays up and uses all of his potential. The other 60 games, he's sort of a fellow traveler. So it's like, I mean, if he asserts himself, and I'd hope he'd assert himself because he's in the walk here and he's going into UFA, and he can attract some attention and some money in free agency. If he does, then he's got to sing for his supper. And I think since he's joined the Islanders, he's played pretty well.
He has played pretty well. It was good to see Sorokin play well.
Matt Martin stayed out of the box.
Matt Martin stayed out of the box because Carolina. They did everything they had to do, and and they got to Ranta a little bit. Like it felt like they it was the first time. First time Ranta.
They did everything that they had to do, and they held on to win by a goal, which tells you. Now the thing is, and I think this is a factor, and I said this was a factor when we had everybody on the show yesterday. I mean, the war of attrition in terms of Carolina. Not having Pacioretty, maybe he was never, he was with them for a few games, but they were depending on him to be a scoring guy. Not having Teravainen and not having Svechnikov, it's starting to take its toll. I mean, Russ, Mackenzie McEachern was playing with Aho and Seth Jarvis.
I know.
I mean, that's
not good. Yeah, it's Aho and Jarvis that driving the bus there, so you can get away with that. I wasn't worried about Carolina in this game, and actually at least they did come back because they were down 2-0, I think. So they did come back to some degree. I think this is one where we're going to find out now if the Islanders could keep it together at home, because if they go down in that game, like we heard boos last game when the Islanders went down, the home crowd was booing. I was listening on the radio, I heard the boos. The Islanders have to keep the boos away in that game. If they fall behind and the boos are coming, that's not going to help them.
Right. It won't at all. No question about it. No. And that's, think now game 6 for the Islanders. It's going to be an interesting one, I think, because
it's going to be, I'm watching it. I
think they're really good. And I'm glad that we have one because I really want to see where this series develops. I mean, I think that both New Jersey and the Rangers, I can't see either of them losing to either of these teams.
I mean, we never know. It's hockey playoffs. There is a little Ranger news too that I'll switch to when you want to, but I can't say that yet because Carolina preseason I thought was going to get to the conference finals, and I still kind of think they can get there. But a lot's going to depend on the Islanders, so that's why I can't really say for sure. I think I will tell you this. If Carolina plays the Rangers, it'll be different than last year's series. It will.
Yes, very, very different. I agree. I totally agree.
Based on different people, they are different teams.
Yes, I do think it is worth mentioning the fact that many Flyers players are changing their numbers.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure why it's happening, but it's happening.
I am for this because this is the thing that I used to be when players get these weird numbers when they're rookies and then they make the team.
Yeah.
I was always for that happening, like where they get a real number. And lately there has been this tendency for players just to keep those numbers that they had when they were rookies. Like Gostisbehere did, basically he was the first guy. Really
do we know who?
Yeah, so this is what's happening. Noah Cates, who was number 21, I think, right? Will now
wear 21, yeah.
Will now wear number 27. Morgan Frost,
which is Reggie Leach's old number, right?
Reggie Leach, Ron Hextall. There's some good number 27 in the Flyers history.
Okay.
Morgan Frost there was a lot of rumors he was going to change, but he's staying with 48, which I like. 48 is an okay number.
Well, I believe his number in junior was 16, so it's a multiple of 48.
And you can't do that obviously in filling.
Right.
Well, wasn't 48 Briere's number too?
48 was Briere's number. And it's just funny because
is Morgan Frost trying to kiss up to the boss?
Well, we'll see, right?
He's looking for a raise. Wink, wink. Hey, Danny.
Cam York is going to change to number 8. So he was like 45 or something like that. Right?
45.
He's taking Brad Marsh's old number.
Well, 8's been his number his whole like. This is actually his number.
Yeah. No,
he was 8 with Team USA. Yeah, he's taking Brad Marsh. Well, there's a way more famous number 8.
I'm in favor of that.
Mike, there's a way much more famous number 8. Come on, for the Flyers.
Mark Recchi.
No, even more famous than that.
Okay.
Oh wait, is it Pelle Eklund?
No, what is right back here?
9.
Number 9.
9. I knew it was a singular.
Okay, are we
Oh,
talking?
come on, Dave Schultz is number 8.
Oh, Schultze, yeah.
That's number 8 for the Flyers. That'll always be number 8 for the Flyers.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so that but the really disappointing thing is the fact that Carter Hart is not changing number 30. Carter Hart is not changing number 31, which really ticks me off like no one's business. I'm still so mad they will not let him have 31, which has been Carter Hart's number his whole career.
He doesn't want it, Eck.
He does.
No, he doesn't.
I disagree.
I can tell you with great certainty he doesn't.
He did.
I can tell you with great certainty I saw the moment when he didn't. That's all.
No, I know. I know you were there for that. And I know when you were there for that. He was wearing 31, but
I don't know that.
Well, no. Anyway, let's move on. I'm telling you, I know that he would take 31 in a heartbeat if they gave it to him. But he's not the kind of guy who would ever make a big deal out of it, for sure.
Yeah, somebody was saying is Gritty's number 8. No, Gritty's number is number 666.
He's actually 00.
I thought they should put a Gritty patch on the Flyers' New Jerseys next year.
Oh God. Yes. All right. All right. So let's get into tonight because tonight we have some games.
Yeah. Okay.
And let's start off with Florida and Boston, which is reports are circulating that Bergeron's going to make his entrance into the series.
Right.
Yeah, I see that happening.
Gutsy move a little bit by Boston. Like if this was 2-2, maybe different, but you're up 3-1. You have one of the best teams ever. Why are you bringing Bergeron back for this game?
To get the rust off.
Yeah.
Yes, but
I haven't heard anything about Krejci, so it doesn't sound like he's going to.
Sounds like he's not playing, from what I heard.
Yeah, but I mean,
you know what's wrong with Krejci? Like, I'm surprised at this one.
Yeah, I think they said lower body, but I don't
know. I don't have any idea.
He's a gamer. Like, he usually plays hurt.
But Bergeron's a game time decision. They're saying in the chat room. I would not be shocked at all if Bergeron didn't play. But
Fluto Shinzawa reported Krejci is out for Game 5.
Krejci's out. I just think that I don't think that there's any point in bringing Bergeron back because to me, like if he's either hurt or not hurt, like we talked about before. Like if he's at all able to play, he would always play. Like he's a guy who would never always play for sure. So the fact that he didn't play makes me think that this was an actual injury. So you should just give him as much time as you can to get back from it. I think because you're going to need him down the line, but. I tried to get some inside information on who was going to be in goal tonight for the Panthers and was told that it would be one of them.
Oh, great. That's really good info.
So I'm reporting from the inside scoop that it'll be one of them. I don't know which one it'll be. Who should it be? Like, this is the big question.
It should be Bob.
You think it should be Bob?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, Bob still has to start next year for you, especially with us not knowing what's happening with Spencer Knight. Right. Lyon had his moment. You're going to have to live with Bob for a few more years. Like, it just seems like it should be Bob.
Yeah. I mean, Bob has not been that good in the series when he's been in there.
Yeah.
But Bob he is the kind of goalie that gets better the more he plays. However.
Yeah.
So maybe he was a little rusty coming in now.
Has the magic worn off for Alex Lyon, though? Maybe.
I think it has, but I do think that there is like one of those special like chemistry things with Lyon and the rest of that team. Like the rest of that team really likes him, and there's definitely a feeling of like that he got into the playoffs. They all feel like without Lyon they don't make it, and I know Matthew Tkachuk especially has said this. Like he just says that Lyons he's the guy. He's our guy, and he said that many times. Because they, his calmness, he came in there, was relaxed, and at a time when they needed it more than anything else, and made some big saves and won some games. So there's a definite team bonding thing about Alex Lyon that go back,
Lyon's got a .902 save percentage, but Bob's is an .846. But you don't expect Bob to be that bad, and even if you put in Lyon, even if you're getting a 902 against the Bruins, is that enough? Probably not. So I think you have to put in Bob, hoping you get Bob's best game. I think that's what you have to hope for.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think you have. I think you're right. I don't know what they're going to do though. Like I said, I was told nothing. But if I was to guess on it, I'm going to lean slightly towards Lyon from what I'm feeling. But I think I would go with Bob.
I would go with Bob simply because of this. They stuck with Lyon because Lyon was essentially their version of the Hamburglar. He was hot down the stretch. He got him in the playoffs. They rewarded him with the start in the playoffs. He played well in the first 2 games. Then he gets pulled, and now the bubble is burst. Now, you go with the goalie who's the better of the two. You go with the goalie who you're paying $10 million to because he's the better of the two.
Do you think because he's making more money? Maybe.
I'm saying that as a justification, but he's the better of the two goalies.
And you also think, he's more experienced, obviously, in the playoffs.
Right.
Right. And, and he has a better chance of stealing a game for you. So you're telling me that Campbell should play instead of Skinner?
No, Skinner's the better of the two goalies. Again. Gee.
All right. I'm just saying, you take all the same reasons you're throwing in the Bob should play. Anyway, all right. Okay.
There's no logic here.
Sure there is.
It's basically pretzel logic.
Sure. No, sure there is. One has won a playoff series and the other one hasn't.
Bob has won a playoff series.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. All right. One is a gold medalist. Anyway, all right, here we go. Michael Layton is always available. All right. What other game you guys want to talk about tonight? So let's see.
We'll talk about the Ranger game. Well, it's not tonight.
I think this is definitely the Ranger.
Seattle, Colorado. We can mention Seattle.
Can I just destroy the NHL here for one thing at the scheduling? I understand the reason why, especially with the Tampa Toronto series, and we can talk about a couple things that are going on with the Leafs in a little bit. But they wanted to line up Thursday, Saturday, Monday for games 5, 6, and 7. Okay, fine, I get that, but you leave this monstrous gap in the middle of the week where now all you have, after having the first 8 days of the first round being 4 games one night, 4 games the other night. Now, all of a sudden, Wednesday, last night you had 3. Tonight you have 2. It's just, come on. Please. Now, maybe some of it's building availability, but most of it is basically being catered for television. And that's horse crap. Just play the damn games.
Well, they're obviously trying to set up a Saturday night Maple Leafs game, right, if they have it.
Right, which
hopefully they
very
will.
Distinct possibility, we know.
So that's
well, here's what I want to say about with this
Boston.
game in Seattle.
Let's talk about the Rangers and Devils. Let's talk about that.
No, we can talk about the Seattle one first.
I want to go there first. Okay.
Yeah, since it's tonight. The loss of Nichushkin, and again, a lot of people didn't even know about it. It was very under the radar. Him not being there the last few, it's mattered. Like it makes a big difference because he's good defensively. He's good on the power play. He's a big body, all those things. So now I think it has taken some of the bite out of the Avs. And, Rantanen has had an amazing year. Like this is, I think, his best season. And I don't think McKinnon's had a bad series at all. I think he's done pretty well, but they have to have other guys step up now. This is where I guess the Compers and other ones, somebody has to do that because
Alex Newhook.
Yeah, Newhook maybe.
Right.
They're going to need some of that.
Yeah, Thomas, we did mention the Makar suspension yesterday, and what this means for us is that Byram steps in as probably the point guy on the power play.
Who's really good.
That's not a bad
not a bad guy to stick in there.
No slouch.
No slouch at all.
And he's a big guy too. Bo Byram's a big guy. So
and his, they're different. They're different kind of defensemen, but you gain some things with Byron at times over Makar.
Yeah.
But Makar's better overall, but still, you definitely gain some things over that.
This is the game Seattle has to win. They win this game, Colorado's in deep, deep trouble.
I agree with that because I think it's going to be hard to win in Seattle. I think going back to Seattle. If Seattle has a chance to win, I think that will be a crazy environment. And I think that, this series is so strange, though, with the goalies to me. It's like I don't believe in anybody that's playing goal in the series.
Yeah, look, I'm not even backing Grubauer, and I backed him for years. So
I know, and some people are like saying, yeah, well, he's been a reason, but he was really important in the first win they got for sure. And there was the whole thing, yeah, he got screwed by Colorado, and he's coming back to take vengeance, which I'm always a big fan of. I know Mike loves vengeance, but I think that when we look at the end of the day, we have like both goalies have been pulled. Both goalies have been like it's crazy. Like Colorado's goalie's been pulled.
I'll tell you what I don't like about this series. It's impossible to dislike the Kraken. Like it's like I'm hoping that the Avs move on because I think it's a good story. Anytime the team has a chance to repeat. But like Dave Hackstall doesn't ever say anything that matters or something that's to be incendiary. And it's hard to like hate this team momentarily. Like it is.
It is hard to hate them because they have some really fun players on their team, and they are doing that. They feel a little bit like the Vegas Knights felt the first year they were in the playoffs. It feels like they have that we believe attitude that is contagious, and they're playing a team that they shouldn't have any business being with, and they're hanging with them right there. I mean, talent wise, I read something about this one today. The Calgary Flames, who we're going to talk about their arena in a second. But the Calgary Flames, way more talented team than Seattle, in my opinion. Way more talented.
Sure. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But again, if you had a book of memorable Dave Hackstall quotes, it's a quick read.
No, like I said, he's a sim character. He looks like a sim character. He stands and talks like a sim character. But he has done. This is where Hackstall. This is where Hackstall works.
Imagine, I was just gonna say, could you imagine we're in a series now where Bednar has more personality than Hackstall?
Oh man, I mean, the only
two men that have been carved out of styrofoam.
I know the only level that Hackstall has is the only thing he's got going for him. I think is the fact that he was a really good college coach, and he's basically dealing with a college type team that's all coming together from weird different places. So it wasn't a bad idea to have a college coach with an expansion team. Like there's something about that's similar feel to it. But and it's worked for him. And he's definitely lightened up on some of his theories. I've been told because like he was so draconian in Philadelphia almost that the players lost their minds. Like we've often talked about the 2-line pass thing that you weren't allowed to pass. You couldn't skate over 2 lines with the puck. You had to pass. You could only skate over 1 line, and you had to pass before the next line. So that was like that made Claude Giroux and Voracek absolutely insane. I mean,
and Vandevelde had to play every game no matter what.
Yeah, Vandevelde, yes.
Chris Vandevelde. He had to play every game.
He sounds like a character from like a fraternity in like an 80s movie, doesn't he?
I mean, I've never seen him again. Like, where
no,
is
he's
he?
Spanish. I don't know where he is. I have no idea. But he always sounded like like Vandevelde's arrived. Like he's the big tall blonde guy in like Pretty in Pink or something.
Anybody has seen Vandevelde, please let us know.
Well, if you remember, his namesake was the guy who choked away the British Open the one time. So in golf, so John Vandevelde, so same spelling.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, and then I don't think they're related.
No, I don't think
they're be related. No, they're just random Vandeveldes.
And Mike, I'm not sleeping. I was just listening intently.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so let's move. So now we get through this tonight. I think we could see. I mean, what are your feelings in the Colorado game? Let's talk about who do you think wins this? Mike? Do you think Colorado takes this?
I still think Colorado. I mean, I still think Colorado should be favored in the series, but the losses that Russ was talking about. I mean, Makar out, Nikushkin out.
Yeah,
probably. It could be out for the season.
Right.
Those are 2 big losses.
This just seems like an overtime game.
Yeah.
I mean, Seattle. I mean, the way they play, the way they limit shots, would lend itself to a close game, maybe an overtime game. And as we know, anything can happen in overtime. I mean, they go back 3-2, leading 3-2. That place, Climate Pledge Arena, is going to be, up for grabs. So, right. I mean, I would like to see for those fans to see them have a chance to win in a game 6, but I still think, I mean, this this is the championship pedigree of the Colorado Avalanche. So I would think that they would win this game and the series still, but who knows?
I think it's an overtime game, and it's a pick 'em. Like I just do. I don't have a great feeling either way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do. Let's talk about the.
I want to tell you this, Zach. So in my minute and a half search for Chris Van de Velde, all you can find is when you put in Chris Van de Velde on Twitter or in Facebook, all you find are pictures of Dave Haxtell and Chris Van de Velde. I just want to say it's unbelievable.
Is that true? No, you can picture of both.
It's really true.
Wow.
It's just funny. But there's no mention of Chris Van de Velde. Even when he went to Ottawa after, there's almost no mention of him since he's been a Flyer in like 2017.
That's awesome. I love it. All right, so let's talk about this Calgary arena. So like yesterday, late last night, 19 hours ago from how I gather it was announced that the Calgary is going to build a new arena. That the Saddledome is going to be no more. The Saddledome's been through a lot.
The Saddledome was underwater.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It was completely looked like at one point it was flooded out.
What was it? Harvey the Hound's head was found. Isn't that his name was found floating in the Saddledome?
Yeah, that's a moment. That was a moment for sure. Yeah. So I think that this is it's a great thing for Calgary, obviously, but not unexpected because this is. I didn't think for a second that Calgary was going to lose their team.
No, nobody did.
They're a really good hockey team.
This is Canada, and even if people didn't want it, the people were going to be paying for that arena in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
Maybe not 100%. It looks like it's about 65%, something like that. But it was going to happen.
Yeah, it is a shame because I love the Saddledome, which reminds me of the Cap Center way back when, which were the same.
I'm not going to miss it. I never went there. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
No.
And I will tell you this: Randy will probably unscrew a seat and steal one, like people did at the Spectrum. I could see him doing that.
There you go.
There are still bars in Buffalo that have seats from the Odd.
Yeah.
Now, granted, the seats in the upper deck and the higher level of the lower deck were all wood. So those seats, those are preservable. The other seats that had cushions were rotting, and nobody has those things. Those are disgusting.
Yeah.
I love the wood concept though. That was I did go to one game there at the Odd, and
the Odd, oh yeah.
I went to a game there, and I just thought I sat on a wooden seat, and I'm like, this is crazy. This is like a professional hockey game I'm watching. But I have Spectrum seats. I have 2 Spectrum seats in my house, and I have that I bought.
You have the bench.
I have the bench, which is of course is the number
nice.
Best thing. But I also have a couple of the folding seats from the Spectrum that the seats they would put on the floor when there were concerts. I have 2 of those too.
Oh yeah.
The ones we all stood on top of,
Hilarious.
I've got those as well. So yeah, but I think it's gonna be it's good for Calgary. I was asked about the Flames today actually, and they're a hard team to think about. Like what are they gonna do this summer? We're gonna get.
I saw something funny, and I don't know who posted it, but this was pretty good. They were like, did they include the buyout of Jonathan Huberdeau in the deal for the stadium?
Honestly, we'll just do a little Flames talk here for a minute.
Yeah.
I think there's a reasonable possibility based on the goaltending market as it is possibly unfolding in the summer, and based on the fact that the Flames have Dan Vladar at I think $2 million for another 2 or 3 years, and Wolf, who they like a lot, that they try to trade Markstrom.
Yeah. They could try to trade him.
He's got 3 years left, $6 million. That's not
nobody wants him at that money. With that,
they may have to retain like $1 million and a half.
3 years. Nobody wants Markstrom for 3 years. Nobody.
He's not that old, Russ.
It doesn't matter.
There's 2 teams that could. Buffalo's one, yeah. Buffalo's definitely one of them.
They're not taking him with that term. No way.
Pittsburgh is an interesting thought with them. I think that
Pittsburgh's possible.
Pittsburgh, they would have to do some great. They have to move some things out. They have to do some great things. But that seems like a good spot for him. Like if I was to say a good spot for Markstrom, I think the Penguins would be a good spot.
I think that's possible.
I'll give you another possibility. Maybe New Jersey.
No, I don't think they would take him with that term either.
And I think they're really happy with their goal.
And they like Schmid. They're not going to start.
They like Schmid. They like Vanacek. I know we've been ripping Vanacek, but he had, like I said, the second best.
Backup back. You got to talk about Schmid now.
But that's not even the goalie that's not really the goalie of the future even, right? They have another guy who's even better.
Well, he could be. Dawes could be. Who knows?
Yeah, so they've got goal. They've got goaltenders. I mean, I think they will move. I think they'll move. I think New Jersey will definitely try to move Mackenzie Blackwood.
Yeah, which again, there's not much of a market for him.
No, but he's an RFA, so there's not a long
It's
term.
baffling to me. Like I would take a chance on Mackenzie Blackwood somewhere.
All I can tell you is this, and this is just Russ Cohen talking, no medical knowledge, nothing. He's not been the same since that heel injury, and heel injuries and goalies are hard.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he's an RFA, so qualifying offer would be a little over $3 million. I think he's 1 year away from being an unrestricted free agent. So if a team Buffalo, if they don't, and I don't believe the talking points of Kevin Adams and Don Granato that yes, we're gung ho to go into next season with the goaltending tandem of Devin Levi and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Bull crap. If you can get an upgrade and have Levi with a veteran goaltender, then I think that's the best case scenario for them to make the playoffs. And if you can get a Blackwood on a 1 year deal, then
might be worth it.
I think it would be, you wouldn't have to give up a lot. Maybe New Jersey would take back Eric Comrie or something like that, or something, something. But I think that would be a winning formula. I just don't think Luukkonen. I mean, the problem is that Luukkonen isn't waiver exempt, and I think Luukkonen gets traded in a deal.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I know that Jersey tried to move Mackenzie Blackwood at the trade deadline and just got nowhere with it. But also, I've heard, I do think there's teams out there. I have heard teams are not totally opposed to that. There's a lot of shuffling that's going to go on. And someone else asked me that question today too. And I responded in West Yakov, how many draft trades I thought there would be, and
draft trades.
Yeah, like draft trades at the draft. And I think there'll be quite a few.
I think there'll be a lot because a lot of teams are going to have to move around of salary like last year for cap space because the cap is only going up $1 million or $2 million a year.
You'll start to see trades like after the 15th, 16th pick when you're getting into that area where some teams are trying to move up, some teams may be trying to trade out of the first. I think you'll see a little bit of that. Pre-draft, you might see one of those teams with multiple picks trade one, but I don't think you're going to see a ton in the first round. I don't.
Right.
Now, Northern in the chat here.
After that, there'll be a lot.
After that, there will be a lot.
Northern in the chat here is an interesting question about Swayman because Swayman is he's on his ELC. It's up after this year. He's making $925. He's an RFA without ARB rights, which means he could get an offer sheet. But we all know offer sheets are bull crap.
Oh, he's an offer sheet candidate, Mike.
Yeah, that they're not going to happen. So that's crap. But Boston doesn't have a lot of cap space.
That's why it's not totally crap because they already have a goalie. I mean, offer. I don't know how much you could get an offer sheet. You're not talking about like a major offer sheet, but you're talking about like what amount
more
of money?
than Kotkaniemi.
Yeah. What amount of money would you have to offer sheet?
Remember, Kotkaniemi was a 1 year deal that Montreal was not willing to match. I mean, with Swayman, this is the thing. I think Swayman wants to stay there. I think he likes being a tandem partner with Ullmark. Ullmark's
he likes it.
Right.
Yeah, I'll say for now that no goalie wants to be a tandem partner.
Ullmark's only has another year left in his contract after next season, so Swayman would be in line to be the number one guy after that. So, and now it's just a question of you've got Pasternak's salary going up to $11.25 after this year. That's $5 million. No, but
I got the answer. They're not going to do anything. They'll get rid of Jake DeBrusk finally. That's what will happen because he'll have 1 year left on his deal. He'll be the guy that goes.
Or really, that's all changed. Like with the DeBrusk is like now wants to stay forever.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't matter. Like they're going to have to get rid of somebody, and in the end, he's the easiest one to get rid of. He's got 1 year left. He's a UFA. Someone will want him.
Or Grizzlick or
touch their blue line, Mike.
Okay,
DeBrusk actually has more value than you think. Like
he has good value.
People are very much into him. Like, and I would see Seattle going hard after him. That would be something that he would be a great fit.
The question is, how many of these veterans are going to come back. I mean, is Krejci going to come back? Is Bergeron going to come back? I mean, are those guys going to come back
I don't think either are coming back.
Right, on team-friendly deals? Are they going to try to re-sign Bertuzzi? Are they going to try to re-sign Orlov? I mean,
they'll try and re-sign those guys. By the way, when we're talking about tandems, Trapper John was sick of being a tandem with Hawkeye too, if you remember. So
okay, BJ Honeycutt.
You shouldn't.
Who was really, really inferior compared to Trapper John. Like, come on.
Yeah, but Wayne Rodgers is a financial expert on Fox News Business.
Great.
So, Mike, somebody asked me this question. I hate to ask you this question, Mike, but since we have a little bit of time, I'm going to ask it to you.
I have the Rangers stuff too, so don't.
Oh no, do the Rangers thing first.
The Rangers stuff, then, please, definitely.
Okay. So today, Larry Brooks put out lines, and so I do think what they're doing is they're on the right track. They don't have Panarin and Kane together. It's Kane. I'm trying to find where I put it. It was Kane, Kreider, and Zibanejad, I believe, and then you had Tarasenko with
Trocheck and Panarin. Thank you. Yep.
Okay.
So, and I think if they stick with that, I think that's good because I think it was smart to move Kreider up to the top line. They did it last game, and it's good because then if like Kane's throwing wild stuff on the net or just kind of, you have Kreider near the net, right?
Right.
So I think there's a chance of more pucks going in that way.
Sure.
And I do think you needed to take Panarin away from Kane. I still think, Panarin, somebody needs to talk to him and say, hey, listen, we know you appreciate Patrick Kane. This isn't the same guy. You need to do your thing first.
Yeah.
Because he's more important, a lot more important. And he's not had a good series.
No, he hasn't. It's hard. The Rangers are in a weird spot here because, you don't need to change much from like what you did the first two games in New Jersey because that really just was, you were dominating them.
Right. But I think the series now with them playing a strong 1-2-2 and just the way they're going to keep looking for Jack Hughes, I think you had to change that up a little bit.
Yeah. How much of this is the Rangers not playing as well in games 3 and 4 versus the Devils getting more comfortable playing? That's what I wonder.
Well, I think it's a little of each. I think
it is.
I think it's a little of each. And I think it's a situation now where Lindy played the goalie card, and so far he's getting mileage out of it. They're getting mileage out of Hughes putting in goals. Devils defense has tightened up. So now it really is incumbent on the Rangers to actually make the next right move because, listen, end of the day, if the Rangers win this game, they're still back on track to go home and win in 6 if they win this game.
Right.
And they know that. So I think this is an empty the tank game for them. Like, I think they have enough veterans there that know we've got to be really imposing in this game. Like, so again, you have to cover Hughes as best you can. It's hard to cover Jack Hughes. And you know that they have the speed. So what the Rangers can't do is have everybody go deep all the time. Because again, if you do that, you're going to give up odd man rushes against.
You're going to get caught, yeah. Yeah, because Devils are fast. They're really fast, and that's the, I think that game tomorrow is going to be absolutely. I actually think tonight's game with Florida and Boston is going to be fascinating. I talked to somebody up in Florida.
Oh, I'm excited for it. I think.
Yeah, I talked to somebody up in Boston from Florida. I talked to 2 different people, one player, and I've been talking throughout the series about it. There's one guy I'm really tight with up there, and he says this is the most this practice they had yesterday. The day off they had a great time as a team on the day off. So this is really the most relaxed they've been. They really have no worries here. They think that they aren't really worried about getting eliminated. They aren't afraid of getting eliminated. They know that everybody expects them to get eliminated. They really are going to just kind of do. I think you're going to see a little bit of that relaxation you saw the Islanders last night. I think you'll see that with Florida in a bigger way.
They've got nothing to lose.
That they can play with Boston because they have outshot them in every game. So they're like sitting there and they're saying, okay, well, if we get a couple big saves and get a couple breaks, a couple of bounces, it goes back. If it goes back to Florida for Game 6, it probably comes back to Boston for Game 7. That's how they feel. So it's just like there's a real big relaxation. They
have nothing to lose. Hey, Mike, can you put up Mike Polsky's question because I'm going to answer that.
Yeah, I was going to say I saw this and I'm like, okay, say for example, a team like Detroit wins The lottery, not the number 1 pick, but then they say the number 2 pick.
Number 2 pick, right?
And Philadelphia has 7. Philadelphia would have to give up Provorov to move up 5.
That's not even enough. That wouldn't even do it.
It might not be enough. It might not.
It
Probably Provorov and Cutter Gauthier.
I mean, it would be something like that and a pick.
Right.
Like that's what it would take, because already Yzerman, if he gets Fantilli as an example, this is any team. Yeah. They know by the end of next year he's going to be on their team by the end of the next college season, and he's going to be a regular for the next 10 years. So Provorov is definitely not enough, and I don't think any team is going to trade out of any of those spots. I don't think, again, this is the whole thing. I know the Flyers fans are like, we're going to be aggressive. We want to be aggressive. This isn't like the Couturier draft. It isn't. These top 3 picks are virtual locks, and nobody is going to want to trade out of them.
Nobody is trading out of 1 or 2. This is like, okay, Brian Burke saying back in 2009, we're going to trade up to number 1 to get John Tavares. There's only one problem. Nobody is trading out of number 1.
Right.
No one.
It's really.
Listen, Burke pulled some magic with the brothers, with the twins, Sedin twins. He pulled some magic there. That's a long time ago, man.
It was a very different kind of draft too. I mean, the Dean twins everybody knew were great, but they weren't like at the level that you're looking at with these guys.
No.
Right.
And, and I did write that today that, when someone asked me what the Flyers want to do in the draft, I said that they love Fantilli and they would love to move up. Everybody loves Fantilli. I've said before, it's like, just watching Fantilli, you're like, yeah, he looks, he looks like a Flyer to me, but
I'd love to date Margot Robbie too. There's only one problem.
No, but like I saw the odds are, I think the odds for the Flyers were most likely they're going to get 9, but I think it's like 1, 3, or 9, something weird like that.
Yeah, it is something weird like that.
And so, like, I don't even know if they had great odds on the second pick.
I'm getting the second pick. It's very confusing.
I just wanted to mention this because Kevin and I mentioned it yesterday about the Derek Lalonde's comments about Vasilevsky. John Cooper was asked about it today in Toronto, and he said Lalonde is there because he was an assistant coach on this team, so he's trying to offer insight and trying to give fans something, and he should be doing that. But here's the funny thing: he's just got to make sure it's accurate. So,
he's trying to sow seeds of doubt.
Right. Throwing a little shade there too.
That's a serious. Yeah, there you go. That's a serious.
Yeah, I mean that's the best he could do to try and throw people off the track.
Right, because this is his buddy. He doesn't want to throw him under the bus.
I mean, honestly, this is all. Well, you could look online and see how good he is at tracking pucks and head trajectory and all that. It's all out there.
Yeah,
you don't have to. This isn't like a study that they did that nobody else has access to. All this information is out there. I could see right away what his numbers have been the last couple of years that way. So can their opponents, by the way.
Yeah. So, Mike, I will ask this question before we go. Even though I really shudder to ask this question.
Oh, heck, Northern says Philly has a 6.7% chance at second. And, that's about the same chance that they have for the first pick. I think it's 6.5. So it's like, it ain't great.
I think my odds of dating Margot Robbie are better.
No, they're not, Mike.
No, because there is a chance that the Flyers could get second.
Right.
There is a 6-point chance that they get second. Oh, yeah, there we go. All right, let's
go ahead. Come on.
All right, okay, Mike. Samsonov, the goalie.
Yes.
Is he a $5 million goalie?
No.
So if they won a Stanley Cup with him this year, is he a $5 million goalie?
No.
He's so they would let him go?
He's an RFA with ARB rights. He's 1 year away from UFA. They can go to arbitration with him.
Right.
And get a 1 year deal.
That's what they would do.
You're going to get over $4 million in an arbitration.
Right, Russ. But But the thing is, that's a 1 year deal instead of a 4 or 5 year deal. And I think they want to keep their powder dry in terms of the goaltending situation.
No, hold on. I think you're wrong on this because
I don't think I'm.
If he, let's say he just gets out of the first round.
Don't think you're wrong. Are you sure you don't think you're wrong, Mike?
No, I'm sure I don't.
You're sure you don't think you're wrong?
Hold on. Just listen to this possibility. Okay. Let's just say he were to get out of the first round. Forget about winning the cup. We're not going there. When he gets out of the first round, general value of a goalie is going to be 3.5 to 4.25.
Agreed.
Why in the world would the Leafs only want to do that for 1 year? They don't think Joseph Wall is their goalie of the future.
I think they do.
Oh my God, no, they don't.
I think
you.
they do. Russ,
I think you think that. I don't think they think
I think they do.
Is Wall a $5 million goalie, Mike?
I also think that they. I also think that they like. What's that?
Is Wall a $5 million goalie, Mike?
No, he's on. They signed him. This is the reason why they like him.
What about their other goalie, Mike?
They signed him to will you let me finish? They signed him to a 3-year deal, and Wall's under a contract for 2 more years at $775,000 a year. So they like him because they like him, but they also like him because he's cheap. Now Samsonov, if Samsonov gets him past the first round, they like him.
Yeah.
He's well liked in the locker room. Yeah. I think they want to bring him back, but I also think that they don't want to sign a goaltender for 5. This is the reason why they backed away from Jack Campbell. Now, the Samsonov actually has something in his favor if they get past Tampa Bay. Well, he's actually won something, but I think that they'll still be careful in terms of what they do with a goaltender, because now Matt Murray has got another year left in his contract, but I believe he's either going to go on LTIR or they're going to buy him out, because they have to make room for other things that they want to do in the offseason, like re-signing Michael Bunting, re-signing Ryan O'Reilly, re-signing Achari, Shen, all the guys that I think they've brought in that they like. So
Mike, let me ask you, has Matt Murray played more games or fewer games than you thought in the playoffs so far? When they signed him?
Well, Russ, I thought he was going to play, and he hasn't played yet, but he was practicing today, Russ. So he is close. And if they get by Tampa, which I'm still skeptical about, then I think he could play in the
not in the first game. If they get past Tampa, he's not playing in the first game.
No, if they win this series with Samsonov as the number 1, then Samsonov will get the. Oh, there you go. Let's
continue. Continue your thought. I just want to bring this up. If they win this, I'm not trying to interrupt you, Mike. I was just trying to say. So if they win this series,
then Samsonov will get at least the first couple games in the next series. But then if they don't win, then I think they'll go to Matt Murray, because Matt Murray's got 2 Stanley Cups on his resume.
And Dustin Wolf is a 1B. There you go. Someone asked. Go ahead.
Okay, so all right. Well, I'm sure I could almost guarantee the person who asked that question that we will be discussing it again. Like, I think that we will talk about that Samsonov, if he's $5 million goalie again. I think we will definitely get down to that discussion. All right, let's simulate the lottery. Here we go. Ready? And it's Columbus, with Philadelphia getting the second pick. Wow. There you have it.
It's not going to happen now.
If that happens,
that's amazing.
Last time we did it, Philadelphia got the first pick, remember?
Now, would the NHL be happy? Would the NHL be happy with Connor Bedard in Columbus?
Yeah, they would be, because that it's just it.
No,
it would solidify Columbus for many years to come.
And there you go, Montreal 6th. There you go. But it would go obviously Bedard, Fantilli, probably Carlson to Anaheim.
Yeah,
and then Chicago. Who knows?
Yeah. So there you have it. Let it be known that the Flyers are going to get the second pick.
They got Adam Fantilli. There you go.
Flyers are getting the second pick in the draft. Fantilli, what does he mean? Where does he slate in with the Flyers, Russ?
Well, I mean, he would be their top line center when he gets there eventually.
He wouldn't play. He's not going to come out year 1?
No, he's going back.
He's already said that, right?
No, he hasn't said it because he's going to go into the draft and act like there's drama. But, he told me his plan was 2 years in college, room with his brother, then go into the NHL. That's why he went and played college. I think he's going to stick with that plan. So, okay. But then he would be out, and then, he'll probably play second line center until he's ready to be first line center. But they would have a true first line center.
He would beat out Morgan Frost, you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, I mean, Frost would be the veteran, so it would take.
Yeah, it would be better. But yeah, no, I think that would be that people would be happy in Philadelphia if that happened. We will see. Remember, without the buzz,
it would fill a hole.
It would fill a big hole. Remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey. We will talk to you all tomorrow when Mike will be in Toronto, and we'll talk to you then.